Hey, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Paul,
And I'm Patrick.
and tonight we're going to be talking about Barb, like Barb,
Barbenheimer? Oppen
Barbenheimer,
yeah,
Oppenheimer. I don't know the
I
Barbie
think that
Oppenheimer thing.
I think that race was settled. Everybody tried a few things on and then Barbenheimer just fit. Barbenheimer was the roll off the tongue one. It was the Benefert, if you will,
Yeah,
or the whatever other portmanteaus there have been.
yeah,
Yeah, Barbenheimer.
yeah, Barbenheimer. So tonight we're going to be talking about Barbenheimer, which this is taking the world by storm. And this is the essentially the dual release of Barbie, the movie Barbie, and the movie Oppenheimer. Two movies no one saw coming in the way that it is like it has taken the world.
Yeah.
Everybody's making pink and black t-shirts. Like I've seen so many pink mushroom clouds over the last couple of weeks that it's been insane. Which
I
is
know.
I've seen Killian Murphy's Oppenheimer character being like saturated in pink and stuff like that. It has been incredible, which is how this is coming about. So, first of all, we're going to be talking about the single movies, then we'll move on to some of the more interesting facts. But, Patrick, at the start of the year, you talked about Barbie.
I put it on my list of things I was interested, curious, and excited about. But that was me going Barbie. Wow, that'll be cool. That'll be weird and that'll be interesting. I had no idea that until we all saw release dates, and then it was like, oh, that'll be interesting. And now that it's gone beyond the likes of you and me, and everybody else is caught up in it, I don't know why. It's given me this extra tingle that the Barbenheimer moment will be one that will be talked about for a long time, and also because I think it'll be so polarizing. And love it or hate it, that's sometimes entertaining to watch too. I think there will be people that go out of their way to like one and dislike the other of these two movies, just so they can go, well, they never should have been compared, or blah, 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 blah. They're not really being compared, folks. Everybody knows they're not really being compared. It's just a strange convergence that I think we should all smile and have fun with. Like, I know, Paul, you and me on this channel have been having fun with it,
Oh, yeah.
but we didn't see the fever pitch that things have hit coming.
No, so I think back a while ago in one of our monthly news roundups,
Mm.
which is we also spotted the fact like that Barbie and Oppenheimer were coming out at the same time, and we were just like, "Oh, that's an interesting kind of mix." But yeah, it's interesting. Barbie is a one that it was on my radar in a very, I guess, cynical kind of way, in the sense that I was just like, this will be a laugh, in the sense that it's probably going to be a really bad movie. Um, I have now eaten those words, and I am really fascinated in what's going to happen. Like, there's so many interesting characters already in it. There's a
Yeah.
good cast as well, which is Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling leading, kind of thing. So yeah, it's an interesting one. And then just Oppenheimer. Like, I'm sorry to say, Oppenheimer with Christopher Nolan was definitely one of those ones that's going to be up my alley, because
Oh yeah.
I'm just a big fan of essentially Christopher Nolan's kind of
Yeah.
which goes
I don't think we've ever hidden that over the years too. It's been very, very hard to hide that we're huge Chris Nolan fans.
no, and which I think the only film that I haven't seen so far of the Christopher Nolan things is probably Tenet. It's the only one I
You
haven't
haven't
watched.
seen that.
No, and it
Ah,
and it was because of the Darkest Timeline. So that was the reason why I
yeah.
didn't get to see it, was because the Darkest Timeline, it was coming out and streaming and stuff like that, kind of thing. So that's kind of the major reason. Which,
Well,
by the way, Tennant is an interesting player within this Oppenheimer Barbie thing, which we'll get on to
oh,
later on.
very, very true. We might have some sticking the noses in or bending the noses of studios, which is very popular at the time right now when they're annoying so many people and not being nice to people who are striking. But just on Oppenheimer, so to go to the two movies again, because I want to have a quick speak on Tenant in relation to Oppenheimer, not what you're alluding to, but a specific thing. There's no way. I'm a nerd. I'm a science nerd. Oppenheimer. This is so squarely in my wheelhouse that the only way they could make it better is to just say also there are going to be lots of beautiful background vehicles that are period correct, and then you would just have me. It's like, great, okay, you had me at Oppenheimer. Never mind Christopher Nolan. But Christopher Nolan, because of Tenet and because of his kind of thing, and Dunkirk a little bit too, he started doing this weird sound mix. And I know the internet has talked about it, but I won't forgive him if I go to Oppenheimer and I can't hear the dialogue, but everything else shakes my seat. Because I'll know that there's nothing wrong with the sound system. I'll know that it was a choice to not, like he did it with Dark Knight Rises a bit, and we were all like, okay. He was fighting like a much younger man, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it will be a black mark against him if this is another in that marching kind of, please don't mess the audio up, Christopher Nolan, please, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Kind of thing with Christopher Nolan and the wham.
But I love the noise. It's the
No,
not being able to hear the dialogue. And Tenant, when you see it, Paul, the one big complaint a lot of people had, other than the fact that most people find it confusing, but you get past that if you just watch it at sci-fi, it's not that confusing. The ability to hear actual dialogue,
yeah,
above background sounds, was a nightmare.
and I wonder. See, that's the thing is, I'm like I've heard about that before, and I'm wondering if because I'm going to watch it more as at a home kind of entertainment system. I'm wondering if the levels are going to be a different kind of feeling or something like that.
Good
but
point.
who knows? But yeah, no, Oppenheimer, I'm very interested in. There is something later on which I think is as a filmmaker's as a amateur filmmaker's point of view is an absolute like it's an amazing story. I got images of us and stuff like that, which I think everybody's gonna love. So, but
Can I have one quick shot at Barbie before we leave talking the two movies? Because one thing that I'm very interested in about Barbie is you were talking about the great talent in front of the camera. We've got, Margot Robbie and just inspired casting across the board, it looks like.
yeah,
It's the talent not just behind the camera, but behind the pen. Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach. It's not like they haven't been on a good run of doing pretty good things. They've been on a run. And I think this could be that Greta Gerwig magic moment where she proves that, yeah, there's going to be a feminist message in this, folks. And anybody who has a problem with that is like going to see Cannonball Run and having a problem with Burt Reynolds' mustache. You gotta accept the stash, but you can still enjoy the rest of the movie. I think if she pulls this off the way people are starting to talk about this movie being really good, I think she might be one of the biggest names in directing for the next 10 years.
I definitely agree. Her trailer, the one that was taking a lot of stuff from Stanley Kubrick's kind of stuff.
Oh yeah,
that was a genius move. Genius move in the starting of this kind of thing, which was just like this isn't going to be the film that you think it's going to be. So like that's what they've already set the tone in the sense of this isn't going to be a straight to DVD or straight to home streaming kind of Barbie movie kind of thing, because like there's been like probably about 6 or 7 Barbie movies that are animated kind of thing, which like have been moved to straight to streaming. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like this isn't that, this is completely different. This is on a level. But Greta Grunberg Greta has been like has an amazing already pedigree of movies that she's written and directed for with her husband and and everything like that. So I'm really excited for this as I am with the Nolan with the Nolans kind of thing. So but the interesting thing is, so we've done twin movies before.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yes.
Twin movie up there. Which is, so that's the interesting thing. We've done twin movies before. This is like twin movie adjacent kind of thing.
Yeah, and Paul, twin movies, because hopefully everybody is going to wait till after this episode and then go and check out the one that we've linked above and hopefully in the description. Well, twin movies, then we were talking about Volcano and Deep Impact. No, Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
Armageddon, Deep Impact. All of those movies that were same theme, studios were rushing to see who could get theirs out first. Those are the twin movies that we were talking about. But yeah, that kind of has a play here because these are related movies. It's the same sort of they will be inextricably linked forever.
Yeah, like that's the thing. So yeah, it's interesting in the sense that this is like the twin movie phenomenon that we've gotten before, Robin Hood and Robin Hood. Yeah, it's Deep Impact and Armageddon and everything like that. So, but there's been other films like this which are being twin movie adjacent, which are
Mm.
essentially that they're polar opposite movies that have come out around the same time. So
Yeah.
obviously the one that's making the rounds now currently is essentially the Batman, Dark Knight, and Mamma Mia. So they came out on the same day, which goes and we got the what was it, Mia. That was when they put
Dark
it
Mia.
together, kind of thing. Also Christopher Nolan kind of film, but this didn't take the world by storm as much
No.
as this has, kind of thing. So are you trying to open a Coke there?
Yeah, I'm really trying to, and I thought I could do it quietly, and as it turns out I can't. I'm very sorry, folks,
You're
but it is
fine.
roasting in this room, and I just got an ice cold can of Coke came through a door that's
Oh,
just over there, so that I can hopefully stop sweating.
that's
Yeah,
so nice.
the Dark Mia or Mama Night,
Yeah,
which actually sounds like a really good jazz or blues musician.
Mama Nice.
That,
I want to be
the
held by
idea of
Mama Nice. Anyway,
I kind of yeah, I want to tour with Mama Night. That just sounds like it's going to be a good one. That idea of counter programming where you're like, okay, we're gonna do our macho blockbuster movie, and then we're gonna have the Notebook come out so that we're gonna capture different crowds. We're not gonna fight for the same piece of land. We're gonna see if we can spread the demographics. Everybody, we talked about it in the channel so much. The four quadrant movies where you try and get old, young, you get every
yeah,
possible demographic. That's your big win for your $1 billion movies. Well, there's the other way of doing it, which is I know that this big movie is happening over here that is of a very, it's going to be skew mostly males over 30.
yeah,
Well, I'm going to release something that's going to skew mostly women under 30 or whatever it might be. So they can actually start making money at the same time in what are ever increasingly crowded release windows. Because not every weekend is free to put your movie out and have space.
yeah. Like that's the thing. I call these the negotiation movies in the sense that or the leave your like husband, boyfriend, friend in the creche movies.
The Go
Kind
With
of
Your
thing.
Friends movie.
Yeah, kind of, where it's more the kind of like I really would like to see Batman Dark Knight, and it's like okay, we go see Batman Dark Knight, then we're also going to go see Mamma Mia at some point, and you're just like okay, well that's negotiations. Or at the cinema, you're like I'm going to go see Dark Knight, you're going to see Mamma Mia, we'll see you after at the end, kind of thing. That's what I feel these movies that specific movie kind of combination is. But we've gotten a couple of other ones. We've gotten The Matrix and 10 Things I Hate About You, like which was an interesting kind of one that goes like which also is connected to the previous twinned or like paired movie in the sense that 10 Things I Hate About You also has Heath Ledger in it, kind of
Oh,
thing.
wow.
But yeah, like
Everything's connected.
yeah. Do, 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 do. Oh no, I shouldn't play that. Which is The Matrix and 10 Things I Hate About You. We also got another one, which was an interesting kind of one, which that everybody remembers. Poltergeist and The Wrath of Khan came out at the same time. That's an
Yeah.
interesting kind of combo kind of thing. Sci-fi and horror, they both came out. Which was, and then another Batman film. The Batman and which Honey I Shrunk the Kids, they both came out at the same time as
In
well.
Batman '89, so
Yeah,
the original Keaton Batman. Yeah,
yeah,
like I until you told me about the Rothkan Poltergeist, I had no idea. Batman, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I'm pretty sure I did see both of those in the cinema, but I like because cinema worked differently back then. They would have been released, but been in cinemas for quite a long time here.
yeah,
So I wouldn't have associated them with each other because it's not like I had to go on the set. Not like I would have been allowed to go to two movies in the same weekend even.
yeah.
But yeah, that's a weird bit of counter programming
But
because Batman at the time was your four quadrant movie or so they hoped. Probably let's say 2.5 quadrant movie.
yeah,
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was very much family and kids.
yeah. So that's the interesting thing. So all of these movies like capture certain groups within their kind of programming. Obviously, Matrix and 10 Things I Hate About You, and which are The Dark Knight and Mamma Mia, similar kind of trends there. Honey I Shrunk the Kids and Batman, which is the original
By the way,
Tim Burton.
I love all those movies except Mamma Mia. Sorry for saying that to the Mamma Mia fans, but I really like all those other movies.
Haven't been a fan of 10 Things I Hate About You. I'll be honest.
I was at the
I
right
can
age to just
I can take it or
like
leave it.
go with it, you know.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm not gonna promote it as one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time or anything, but yeah, soft spot.
No, 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 no. But yeah, it's an interesting concept because now this is kind of evolutioned into obviously Oppenheimer and Barbie kind of thing. This is
Mm.
what we're getting now in the sense that, but this has become such a massive phenomenon. The other ones, like I feel like if okay, so the Dark Knight and Mamma Mia one I knew about because I was very much into Chris Nolan's Batman kind of series and I knew what was coming out. I was a lot more aware about what was coming out beforehand. The other ones I had no clue about until I researched for this video. So like that's the thing is these films were put in the same month or same release date. They're completely polar opposites to what they are, like Barbie and Oppenheimer. But why has Oppenheimer and Barbie captured the world in the way that it has in such a frenzy? Now, to answer that question, we should go to the comments first before we go there. You
That's a
know,
good idea. That's a very good idea. So actually, Paul, I'll pick a few choice ones to start it off. Um, Op and Barbie was a suggestion for Brian on the opposite end of the other naming pop option. I think, and to answer your question, pop culture, yeah, both released on the same day worldwide,
yeah,
to the best of my knowledge.
21st.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's all tomorrow. Yeah. Um, I think it's cool to have two major movies in one weekend, neither of which are sequel, prequel, remake, reboot, or feature Batman. I
yeah,
like that last little part, Brian. Yeah, two originals.
yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Completely independent scripts. Completely, these are completely new scripts. They've been on the shelf for a bit, not for that long, but they've been there, kind of thing. And
But
it's nice to see independent new IPs.
I like it too, but I will say that people are going a little bit overboard, and these are originals. Well, one is based on, one is a Mattel movie, just like it's like saying that the Transformers movie was an original movie. It's
Yes.
based on an IP. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing Barbie and Transformers in any way. And similarly, Oppenheimer, famous historical figure, and it's based on a book.
Yeah.
But it takes nothing away from the point you're making, which I actually think, Paul, we were going to bring up anyway. So thanks, Brian, you got there for us. It is great to see something original and new that isn't a reboot or a remake or a sequel or any of that stuff
Yeah.
or feature Batman.
Which is yeah. So, Brew, who needs the host or who needs the hosts, we can handle this conversation on our own. Oh, there you go. So just jump in. Yeah, anyone who's watching after the thing for the VODs, like
Yeah.
the chats, absolutely, our chats are always going on, like with great suggestions and great kind of comebacks and stuff like that. They keep us honest, so you should be here live, so you can jump into the chat with them.
Exactly.
Because
We have the best audience ever. And if you're watching right now, that now includes you. You are the best ever. So thank you.
like the viewers still love the movie. Yeah, like this is the thing. So
Oh, I'm seeing some mention here, Paul, of reviewers saying that they could only hear 25% of the dialogue. So that'll be in relation to
the tenant stuff, yeah, like that's what I'm kind
and
of worried about.
and I think it's possibly an IMAX issue. So it'll be interesting when you watch Tenet at home, or if anybody is watching Oppenheimer in a non IMAX screen, if they report any difference. It's not going to ruin the movie for me 100%, but it will irritate me a bit because the maestro himself is such a good movie maker. To obscure your dialogue in the theatrical experience, I'm sure he has his reasons. And who am I to question Christopher Nolan? Well, I know who I am. I'm Patrick from Here Is Out, and I question everything to do with all entertainment stuff.
Yeah,
And I question that decision if it does come to pass.
I get that. Yeah, so I was just reading through it. There's a lot of kind of like Tenant. Everybody still loved the roof. Movie Gremlins and Ghostbusters came out at the same time in the US. Yes, they did. But this is the one thing is I've seen them plenty on lists. Gremlins is a comedy. Ghostbusters is a comedy. They're
Mm.
not polar opposites, so they shouldn't be. Although they came out at the same time and they're not twin movies, I don't agree that they're actually part of this kind of list of movies because
No,
they're not
they're
polar
competing in a
opposites.
direct head to head. That's
Yeah.
not counter programming at all. And I, you know what? For some reason, I did not know that either. I love both those movies. So there does seem to be another thing. Movies that come up against each other. I tend to like them all. Again, sorry, Mamma Mia fans.
Yeah, like nineties in the nineties, a lot of movies came out at the same time. Yeah, but that's the thing. So they had they kind of had very slim windows because the cinema period was longer back then. Didn't have as many movies coming out at the same time from studios and stuff, so they kind of broke up. And they also didn't want to kind of lose their they kind of like a lot of stuff came out during the summer. It was very seasonal kind of thing of when people were more freer to kind of go to
Yeah.
them, so they kind of did release movies at the same time.
Well, Paul, we've got about 3 minutes before we're going to hit an ad break. So I just wanted to ask you one quick question and throw this out to the audience so that they can think about it while we're at our little 20-second break. I'm surprised still when I say to people, "Oh yeah, are you interested or excited to see Oppenheimer?" And they'll say yes. And then I say, "And what about Barbie?" And this is where it is the traditional male response of pulling a face, going, "Barbie? Why are you interested in Barbie?" And my reaction is, "Why aren't you interested in Barbie?" Because women play soccer now. Um, boys can. It's like I think we've moved on even generations ago from a lot of the, well, pink is for girls. Why would I want to see a Barbie movie? And I feel that that's the weird thing about Barbie. Its advertising campaign has not cleverly not shown what the movie's about. And I'm hoping enough people, thanks to the Barbenheimer effect, I'm really glad that Oppenheimer is geeing this all up to get some of those people with, I'm not going to say prejudices, but preconceived notions
Yeah,
into this theater to actually see the damn Barbie movie that they'll probably really love if it turns out to be good.
yeah, I definitely
Excuse me.
agree. So we're going to jump onto our quick ad break kind of thing, and we'll be back in a couple of seconds.
All right. See you on the other side. You obviously like two people talking about movies, or you wouldn't even be seeing this ad. Well, don't tell anyone. But Hear Us Out isn't the only choice. You should check out our friends over at It Takes Two podcast. It's a podcast where two people take two films with the same plot or premise, watch and discuss them. Films like Gremlins and Critters, or The Truman Show on EdTV. Lisa and Nick don't stop there though. They get creative and compare some unexpected movies. Some that you don't see the connection until you realise that they can be described in the same way. They launch new episodes every second Tuesday, or Monday if you're in New Zealand. Find them on your favourite podcast service, or check the link in our description down below. That's It Takes Two podcast. Tell them Hear Us Out sent you.
Hey, how's it going? We're back. I show kind of story, so it's an interesting one. But why? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yay! I can hear
Hey.
you. Which is that was sweating bullets about that.
I have no idea about anything you've said, but I'm sure it was all wonderful. And if everybody liked that section of the show, let Paul know and he'll fire me.
I was more saying just the phenomenon, but answering the question essentially, why has this become such a phenomenon, kind of thing? Even though there's so polar opposite movies together, which color palettes, everything like that, are so vastly different. But I think that's one of the cruxes of this. The reason that everybody has become so infatuated by these movies is because of the polar opposites completely, which is So, but was this a marketing ploy? That's the question. Because they're so polar opposites, was this some kind of marketing ploy? Yes and no.
Yeah. I
Like,
don't know if it was full on, let's say. I don't think it was that Machiavellian move of this is what's going to work for us.
no.
And if there was, and the amount of it that there was of that, I don't think anybody who was behind this understood just how runaway train it would get.
So that's the interesting thing. Like, I think so. We've heard the story that essentially Christopher Nolan has been famously with Warner Brothers for such a long time, and then they left not on great terms because of the HBO kind of streaming thing. which is where we bring it back to Tenant. Tenant was in the darkest timeline. It was like split between streaming and kind of cinema release stuff. He had to fight for essentially just the cinema release eventually. Even Dune at the time, like a couple of months later, was also fighting the whole streaming release kind of thing. So when Christopher Nolan Think Copy moved to Universal,
Hmm.
it felt like Warner Brothers was counter programming to essentially take a little bit of the audience away from Oppenheimer. Now, this has backfired horribly towards the Warner Brothers original kind of
Yeah.
like if the idea was for them to essentially get back at Christopher Nolan and the Oppenheimer kind of movie, this has completely backfired in the sense that it's just made things so much worse. The amount of search results that have happened with both of them, Barbenheimer and Barbie and Oppenheimer movies coming out at the same time, has exploded, completely exploded. So it's completely, but has it then turned into a marketing ploy? As in, since it backfired and everybody started to talk about, Oppenheimer and Barbie, has both marketing departments just lent into it completely?
I think they've all just sat at their desks and realized we've started the dynamo and it's become self-sustaining power. I think there's a certain amount of they're doing their marketing jobs, but have realized, oh, we have this once in a generation moment where there's now a feedback loop. And social media is energizing it and re-energizing it. And right now we are re-energizing it. That yeah, Chris Nolan was annoyed at Warner Brothers, made an unbelievable deal with Universal.
Yeah.
Unbelievable deal with Universal.
Yeah.
And Warner Brothers were a bit put out by, what he was saying about them and how, and in fairness, I think he was right to be annoyed about that day and date release. We talked about it during the darkest timeline that we all lived through, that it was bad for cinema. And if there's one thing that Christopher Nolan is like Tom Cruise, it's they love cinema. They want cinema, cinema, cinema. So to use Barbie as their vehicle to get back, I think was an interesting error that has actually worked out in their favor. Also, that they've got a turbocharge. Their shot missed, but it ricocheted and hit a piggy bank that they're going to get more money out of. So they've done no damage to Nolan, but luckily they're also gonna. The
That's
water is raising all the boats
yeah.
with this.
Like that's the interesting thing. Is I think that yeah, they've made their shot, they've missed, but they've hit gold on the other side, because this is just a marketer's absolute like dream, in the sense that there's not a lot of marketing that you have to do now. Like the
Mm-hmm.
interesting, but the people who have definitely played well with this has been the Oppenheimer side. So Warner Brothers which gets marketed Barbie, but it's been interesting that every time Barbie has essentially been mentioned, Oppenheimer has also gotten a massive pull up. Now this is the
Yeah.
true on the other side as well. When the first trailers started, when more trailers are being released about Oppenheimer, which Nolan has also incredibly been very tight on what has been shown in them, um,
Mm-hmm.
Barbie has then like absolutely skyrocketed in the search terms and
Yep.
everything like that. So there is no like this is the thing is people have been completely fascinated by the two movies because they're so different. Like the color palettes, as I said, dark like the on screen there is just a split screen of
Yeah.
both Barbie and Christopher what's
Different
her
ends of the
Killian.
spectrum in a literal sense,
Yeah.
the visual spectrum. And Paul, I want to mention that the only loser here, because they're all winners and we're all winners. The only loser here, and I'm going to use that word lightly, is actually Mission Impossible, Dead
Yeah.
Reckoning Part One.
Yeah.
And I'm going to mention the comment that's come up because I spotted it, but I'm not going to the comments right now. Just so you know, folks. Um, Pop culture's asking if Tom Cruise is, Tom Cruise famously went and said, "Hey, how come I'm losing all my premium screens to Oppenheimer?" Because again, Christopher Nolan made the sweetheart deal of all sweetheart deals. He said, "Go forth and get me IMAX for 3 weeks uninterrupted. Go forth and get me premium screens," which is why Barbie isn't on premium screens anywhere, and it doesn't matter. there's like 25 more showings of Barbie every given day, any given day, than there are of Oppenheimer. So, and people will go and see Barbie in a 50-seater small screen 4 of their multiplex, whereas everybody's going to the screen 1, the IMAX, whatever else for Oppenheimer. Unfortunately for Tom Cruise, I don't think he saw it coming. I don't think he saw that coming. And then when he brought it up and was like, is it really fair that they get to do this? And that was sort of leaked that, oh, Tom Cruise is mad at Oppenheimer and Barbie. I think it did get a few more people interested in this, again, vicariously through that bit of news, going, why is Tom Cruise being such an ass about this? It just, everything. They can't do anything right or wrong. This whole thing can fall over and get itself more press and more eyeballs and more people engaged.
Like, this is an absolute storm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because polar opposite films, and then yeah, Tom Cruise also coming in and giving it a little bit more drama and stuff like that. Like, that's the thing is,
Yeah.
like, a lot of people probably didn't know about the Warner Brothers counter targeting or counter marketing this Barbie against Oppenheimer because of Christopher Nolan leaving.
It's true.
That's the other thing. So like, you've got two dramas. You've got everything's in twos. You got two dramas, two complete movies that are completely opposite. Now, I also want to point out that I've been constantly mentioning the fact that they're completely opposite. But how much opposite are they actually? Because they're not actually that opposite to each other. Because now simply,
So much in common.
yeah, there's too much in common for these movies to be completely different. You've got Christopher Nolan, famous, which is director. You've got Greta, who's a famous director. If people don't know her work, and I don't know why you don't, Lady Bird is probably what shot her into an absolute like skyrocketing kind of independent movie item, and Little Women, which is like an amazing cast, which goes and has one of those annoying people for me, which is Charles. My God, I can't believe this.
It's not going to come to me. Somebody shout it in the chat.
It's Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah,
yeah. Shamalama Ding Dong.
Not my Paul. Anyway, which is yeah. So you've got both Little Women. Little Women and Lady Bird is Greta, which is which is movies. Christopher Nolan, famous for Tenants, Dunkirk, which is Inception, the Batman,
Interstellar, Dark Knight,
yeah, kind of things. But yeah, Greta, like, she's gonna be absolutely like skyrocketed into an amazing thing, because she's gathered such an amazing crew around her to make this film. This isn't like some kind of like, offshoot movie. Like, everybody's saying how beautiful like Oppenheimer's looking and stuff like that, but I think that Barbie is also going to look really gorgeous from a cinematography and views and stuff like that as well. So it's incredible. It's incredible that these two movies are both historical people, historical figures,
yes,
and have such a great group around them, including the cast. Like, I've already mentioned the Barbie cast, which is the
Oppenheimer cast is it's a murderer's row. You've got like Robert Downey Jr., you've got Emily Blunt, you've got everybody.
Like,
you've got just everybody.
Look at that. Look at that cast picture. I'm sorry, now Patrick's a little bit behind on the thing.
Yeah, it's going to come up for me, but I've got an idea.
But that's an incredible cast right there for like Oppenheimer.
Which makes Asteroid City look a little bit tame. Because remember, we were laughing at the fact that, everybody just shows up for Anderson. Well, turns out that everybody wants to work with Nolan too. And I think one of the great things about Christopher Nolan is he can use a famous person lightly and not be like, hey, look at the cameo. It's, no, they can act. They're an actor. This is a role. It's got 7 lines, but they're going to act the hell out of it. It doesn't matter if you recognize them from something else. If they're a good actor and I make this film well, you're not going to be thinking there's Iron Man. You're going to be thinking that's an incredible performance by Robert Downey Jr. afterwards, because he'll have been the character while you're watching the movie. Don't forget, Heath Ledger, folks. The world turned and said, no way Heath Ledger can happen. And everybody was wrong. All right. I'm just
Yeah.
going to go and say it. Anybody who's still clinging on to, oh, well, he wasn't a very good Joker, really. It's all hype. I'd never say this usually on the show, dude. But I'm going to go ahead and say it. This is the hill I'm going to die on, Paul. You're just wrong out there. Anybody who thinks Heath Ledger wasn't a good Joker, I think you're just wrong. It's one of the few times I'll
Yeah.
just say it.
Yeah. But like it's like these movies are very similar in the sense that they're just got so much together going on
Like
that it's
power
just
couples behind the scenes, production partners, that it's got so much in common and also such a good chance for an interesting perspective from a movie telling point of view on what we're now. We're in the middle of the end of the comic book movies, as some people want
yeah.
to say it, whatever it is. We're in that middle era where it's either going to go back to succeeding or it's all going to fizzle out. These movies, from a social commentary point of view, are going to bring history up.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Oppenheimer there. That's actually Barbie. You can describe these movies and not say which one you're talking about, and it can apply to either.
Yeah. Like that's the interesting.
Significantly important historical characters,
Yeah.
both.
Like it's interesting that yeah, you can do incredible director,
Mm-hmm.
incredible like cinematographers and lighting and music, uh directors,
Oh, and
historical
also,
important historical figures, and an important time in people's lives kind of thing. Like these are all things that you can say about both movies. This is incredible that I can be like, hey,
yep.
you know the guy who like the Manhattan Project, the bomb and everything like that. Yeah, his movie is going up against Barbie, and everybody is losing their minds about this, being so excited. We've talked about this at the start of the thing. People are going to like these films are forever going to be intertwined. These
Yes.
films, like when people are going to be like in a couple of years' times after they leave the cinema, people are going to be like, "Hey, do you want to do a Barbie Oppenheimer marathon?" This is going to be
Yeah.
like when we said we should do all of the like phase 1 to 3 Marvel movies together.
Yeah.
Like eventually we're going to be like, "Hey, well, let's watch Barbie and Oppenheimer together." Like it's an incredibly insane thing. Like
I think 10 years from now there will be Barbenheimer parties happening in some houses this very weekend. 10 years from now, I think there will be.
it's just an amazing kind of thing. So, and in both of these are just going to make a massive amount of money. I predict that so you've had a little bit more of an interesting kind of thing. I think that both of these movies are going to be the highest grossing movies this year, and which is interesting in the sense that Avatar was in this year, that everybody like, there's also been Indiana Jones and
Mario
obviously
made all sorts of mad money.
you think that Barbie's going to have the better opening?
I think Barbie is on track for a higher number on the opening weekend. And I think that's the interesting thing because it's playing in so many more theaters. I think Oppenheimer is going to drive Barbie at the start. And I think Barbie may well drive the fact that Oppenheimer, people can't get tickets to do their double bill in some cases because there are less good seats in the good screenings of
Yeah.
Oppenheimer. I think Oppenheimer is going to it's going to be the rabbit and the tortoise and the hare. I think Oppenheimer is going to be the one that will plod along a little bit longer. I'm really interested not in their opening numbers, but their second and third week holds to
Yeah.
see if they both drop the same or if there is that shift of whoever came out of the gate hardest. Is there going to be an equalizing shift in week 2? And then by week 3, are we looking at level pegging again? Because I agree with you. I think they're both going to be juggernauts
Yeah.
for the year.
Yeah. And for the lists.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I don't think
Can I just one very quick thing, Paul? Just because I know we gotta move on. Polarizing characters. That's the other thing that these two movies have in common. There's a lot of people, and make no mistake about it, hate gets you eyeballs and gets you money. It gets you discourse, it gets you commentary, it gets you people talking about you negatively and positively, defending and attacking.
there's no bad
Barbie,
press.
there's no bad press. Barbie is the epitome of like a conflicting idea for people. like very much loved and hated. And oh, Barbie represents the worst, and being a Barbie was a derogatory term for so much, but yet historically significant, doesn't have to necessarily have the negative connotations. There are people who look at Oppenheimer and think, well, there's a guy that just, it's all about the destruction. But then there are people that look at Oppenheimer and think, well, there's a scientist, there's an interesting story to this. There's a complexity there.
Yeah.
And much like Barbie, there's a complexity. Is it us that puts the good or the bad on these characters, let's call them? Or were they genuinely doing their thing and then had negative consequences or negative outcomes that they didn't plan on? And it's weird that you can say that about the guy behind the atomic bomb and also a 7-inch, 8-inch, I have no idea how tall Barbie is, piece of plastic. Like that blows my mind. But I am really, really looking forward to laughing at all the people who throw unnecessary hate at one, other, or both of these movies. Because I think we're about to see the worst side of the internet at a great time when we see the best side of cinema, where people will go out and enjoy themselves.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Like this is going to be the event moment where we're kind of like, yay, everybody's enjoying Barbie and Oppenheimer, and the internet is going to go absolutely insane about, like, building controversies and stuff like that between the two characters. Which is, as much as you think, look, as much as you say about Oppenheimer building the bomb and stuff like that and causing one of the, like, having the worst, creating one of the worst creations ever, and also having Barbie being possibly a terrible creation otherwise, kind of thing. Go out and enjoy the movie. Like, they're not, don't forget that they're not the pinnacle, they're not the pinnacle moments of those times, the kind of thing. This is a Barbie movie that's hope, like, I don't think it's going to be like, entirely trying to brainwash people into a specific kind of, like, I don't think this is a brainwashing movie. I don't think Oppenheimer is a brainwashing movie either. No. Like, and so, like, just go and enjoy great cinema, and, like, take it with a pinch of salt. Like, I saw in our comments there, Derby, love it to America to leave it to America to like a movie about how the bombing of Japan happened. That's nothing. Like,
I don't think that's the story of Oppenheimer.
No, it's not. Oppenheimer is the Manhattan Project, the monumental pulling together of resources and minds and stuff like that to essentially create something. Now, obviously, the creation is the bomb and stuff like that, which is terrible, but it's a powerful piece of history. This is a very interesting moment in history that does not get told. We get told a lot about the invasion of Normandy or Dunkirk,
or even the bombing of Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yeah,
it's like those things are usually covered. This is the story of Oppenheimer, a human, a man, a person, and that's the interesting thing about it. Yes, huge effect on the world. That's why this is the man that's being looked at. So it's I never see anything that's like this as a story about the outcome of their life's work. It's interesting as to what they went through, and what does Oppenheimer feel like after realizing what he's done? The famous line.
Like,
so,
but that's the other interesting thing. Just we do have to move on. That which is like, where in our life have we ever been able to go, hey, one of the biggest box office smashes of a year is going to be specifically on a scientist. It's a biographic documentary kind of like film about
a dramatized
kind of thing,
dramatized real life,
about a scientist, and it's going to be one of the biggest hits this year. And the film that's currently playing against it, and it's going to be probably like as big, if possibly like edging ahead of it, is about Barbie, the toy kind of thing. So as much as you wanted, like, try to polarize this and stuff like that, and just enjoy the filmmaking, like, and leave everything else at the door for later on.
Just before we wrap up, there's one other comment I want to pull out here. Brian says, the usual suspects are very angry at the Barbie movie. I have not dipped my toe into the internet. I've been busy. I'm looking forward to soaking some of it up over the weekend. I'm not surprised. The people who refer to the MCU as the MCU now because they think catchy little phrases are what make the world go round. There are going to be people that are just going to love to hate Barbie for the other reasons. and I look forward to watching them spin their heads around as it makes lots of money. I haven't seen the movie yet. I could end up really disliking it, but those people really dislike it before they've seen it.
Yeah,
There's a significant difference.
yeah. As much as I've had those times on this thing, which was like I've had reservations about the Joker, and so,
Reservations is one thing,
but no,
you know,
but
that's fine.
that's the thing is, I always have gone into a movie like with the understanding that it's just like I need to give it a fair shake, and that's what you need to do with these films. But that's a bit of a rant kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The interesting thing I saw there on the comments just before we kind of move on, because there's a really nice thing I want to talk about, which is really interesting about Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer focuses on the actual man rather than the bomb. Beautiful Mind is the coolest thing I can think of. Was more focused on him seeing people. So Beautiful Mind, The Imitation Game, and Oppenheimer are though, and also there's another film I can't remember with John Krasinski, not John Krasinski, I can't, like which is also about the bomb, which goes, it's actually more about the demon core, but anyway, those four films are all about scientists, which are just fantastic, and I think Oppenheimer is the one that's going to stand out because it goes against Barbie. But yeah, on to my nice thing, because this is the filmmaker's dream. They've found a way of being able to mimic a mushroom cloud, a nuclear explosion kind of thing, without actually doing one, and without doing one with like, you know, CGI. Have you seen the machine to do it, Patrick?
Not yet. I'm watching I'm avoiding behind the scenes stuff. By the way, I am on massive avoidance for anything Oppenheimer and Barbie. And I'm not worried about you telling me stuff right now, but I've been keeping my palette clean.
I completely understand.
Of visual stuff. Yeah.
So, well, this doesn't have much of the visual stuff. It just has the machine itself. Okay, practically.
Oh,
look at that!
I'm gonna love this, Emily.
Look at that beast of a machine. That is a, like, I know everybody's got a little bit of a delay, but that is a beast of a IMAX machine to be able to do what it's going to do. Like,
well, doing everything practically. When you think of it, you know, it's it's quite a thing to say that we've used a minimal amount of computer generated visual effects, but to be able to say that we've used none is it's out there now these days. That's the image just refreshed on my side, Paul. Why do I just see Event Horizon?
Yeah, it is. It is. I will say that it was like when I first saw it, I was just like, "Oh, that's an interesting Stargate ring kind of thing." But
yeah, but even the machine itself, the machine. I'm calling the camera a machine.
Yeah,
that's how cool and groovy it looks, and it does look like Sam Neill should be talking to it and then peeling somebody.
Yeah, heck. There is one more, which is side kind of thing, which is just a little bit more interesting. Patrick, you may want to look away because this is a little bit more telling on the thing.
Okay.
But it's just a little bit in the background. You can see some of how they kind of do the effects kind of thing with that machine. Fantastic. I'll keep it only on the thing for.
Oh no, leave it. That's not gonna worry me. I'm just not watching featurettes and stuff.
Oh, okay, Grant. Yeah, no. So it's interesting. I thought I'd just give you that little feedback kind of thing of it because it's just an absolute beast of a machine.
Well, as we're drawing all the parallels in the universe, how come the guy that's doing zero special effects hasn't done a movie with Tom Cruise, who's doing all his own stunts? Surely Nolan and he should now sit down together and go, "Hey, do you want to make something that's absolutely 100% real? I'll play Christopher Nolan directing you as Tom Cruise, and we'll just do everything in camera at all times."
Yeah, that could be incredible. But. So we're wrapping up now. So thank you very much. If you haven't like the video, it really helps us out. Subscribe, ring that notification bell, do all the kind of YouTube things. We do these things every Thursday. We like to take kind of movie things, entertainment news, everything like that. And take an interesting kind of spiel on it. Our interesting one right now is the phenomenon that is Barbie Oppenheimer. So I have a couple of questions for the crowd, which is, are you going to the double bill? We'll put a poll up on the community board as well, to see how many people are going for it. What way are you doing it? Are you Patrick? Are you doing it? You're going to be doing it, or you're going to be doing it later on, kind of thing?
Life has got in the way of me doing the same day double bill, unfortunately. Life circumstances, but I am seeing them night to morning, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to get a sleep after one and then get straight up to see the other.
So what format are you doing? Barbie first, then Oppenheimer, Oppenheimer, Barbie?
I'm doing Barbie then Oppenheimer. I'm doing it what I call the safe way. A lot of people say that that's the wrong way around, but I actually think that that's the safe way. I think the real brave people, and I said this before, the real brave people are seeing Oppenheimer and then hitting up Barbie.
I'm doing the Barbie Oppenheimer. I'm doing Oppenheimer then Barbie.
So you're doing it. You're rolling it the hard way.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm rolling the hard way because I'm. Let's just say it wasn't by choice.
Right.
It was the group I'm going with because I would have done it the other way. I would have done Barbie and not Oppenheimer. I think that I'm gonna watch Oppenheimer and have a great time, and then I'm gonna go into Barbie and have an absolute acid trip kind of thing of going.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I do think I do think it's a mental experiment to do it in the order that you're doing it.
Yeah,
but for enjoyment's sake, in a perfect world, I think we'd probably both pick Barbie then Oppenheimer. But life has not worked out that we'll get to do that double bill. We're going to have another chance in about 20 years when all of the stars align and there is an eclipse and someone does this again, except it'll be with Optimus Prime and Richard Feynman. I don't know.
yeah.
Let's see.
Which is So we'll open up in the community. Also, comment down below if you're going to see the double bills. Which way are you going to see us? Kind of thing. Which way do you think? Do you think the Barbie Oppenheimer Barbie way? Which one's the better one? And what other films can you say is similar to this, other than the ones that we've mentioned? Is there any films out there that we've missed that you would say are polar opposites that have done this kind of thing before? And then also comment down if you like the video or anything like that.
I'd like to say a personal thanks to the chat. All of you, all of you, Derpy, Brian, Pop, the whole lot of you. You've all been fantastic. Show wouldn't be the same without you. And I am looking forward to hearing in the coming weeks, as you all get to see these things, what you thought and what you feel. So thank you.
We'll probably give you an update about how we feel about the movies and the order that we did it, probably in our end of month kind of video. So So thank you for watching. I've been Paul.
I've been Patrick.
And we've been here as Ace.
See you next time.
See you next Thursday, 8 p.m. Ireland time.
Yeah. See you the other side of Oppenheimer and Barbie. Barbenheimer.
Acid trip. All right. See you later, guys.
Bye.